are going to be getting into our March Madness stuff right away. And I'm going to start off with the biggest upsets. Obviously, the bracket was revealed on Sunday. I am going to start with Pat here. We'll say for round one, what is the biggest upset or one of the upsets that you're looking at right now?
All right, so I came in and I have a very long list of upsets in my notebook. I will simply just list off anything at 13, 14, 15. Vermont is a 13 seed. South Dakota State is a 13 seed, and Colgate is a 14 seed. I all have winning, and I've convinced myself wholeheartedly that that's exactly how it's going down.
Can you give any justification for any one of those?
Absolutely. I think Vermont's the one that I feel most confident about. They play in the AE, which is the conference that UMBC came from when they beat Virginia that year, and they're still in it. They won their conference semis by 32 points and their conference final over UMBC by 39. They score 75 points a game on 50% from the field, 37 from three. They just absolutely fill it up, and it doesn't really matter who's defending them. I still think they're going to put up those points.
All right. So one vote for Vermont, you said. I heard you say Colgate as well. Shout out your boy.
Yes,
Tucker.
sir.
How many points Tuck?
So that would be upsetting Arkansas and Wisconsin for those interested in the actual bracket matchups. Very bad news for me, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Kyle, any upsets that you're looking at right now?
Well, yeah. So I also had Vermont over Arkansas because I for some reason I forget. Are the A? What's their conference again? It's the American East.
American East, yeah.
Yeah, I for some reason for the last 4 years in a row watched a lot of the American East tournament because it just always ends up being on at weird hours, and I'm like, I want to watch something. Because the year that UMBC won, I had watched the American East tournament that year and saw UMBC were a really good basketball team. And I was like, I don't know why they're a 16 seed. They should be like a 14 or a 13. They're clearly pretty good. And then they, obviously proved that they were better than what they should have been at. But yeah, no, I agree. Vermont are very explosive offense. They were talking a lot during the broadcast about how this is one of the best Vermont teams that they've had in a very long time. So it would not surprise me if they were able to do something against Arkansas. Now, granted, I've bet against Arkansas in upsets, I think, the last 2 years, and they've both won those games. So Arkansas is kind of a bogey team for me when it comes to upsets. So I'm kind of worried about that. The other two, upsets picks that I had, one of which was South Dakota State over Providence. I feel bad because I work with a ton of people that are big Friar fans, and Providence are a fun story, and I like Providence basketball. I love their coach. I love the story of them being good, but this kind of goes into the Oral Roberts effect from last year, where everyone picked, not everyone, but a lot of people picked Oral Roberts to win a game or two because they were such a good 3-point shooting team. I believe they were the best 3-point shooting team in college basketball last year. So it's one of those things where if you're a team that's hot from three and you can keep it going, you're going to win games in the tournament, even if you're not one of those top tier teams, because if the other teams can't defend your three is greater than two. You're just going to keep going. And I believe, according to ESPN, that they are the most accurate team from 3-point range. So I'm going with that logic again, that I think that unless obviously they could go cold and then Providence will probably win. But if they're hot and they're nailing threes, then they're probably going to do it. The other upset pick that I have, which I'm not really confident in, I kind of just took it just to be edgy and hopefully be random, is I have Longman beating Longwood beating Tennessee, only because I saw that they've won 19 of their last 20 games. Longwood has. They've won 19 of their past 20 games. They've not lost since December 22nd. So that's a team that is hot right now. And this is the time of year where you want to be hot. And I'm feeling like maybe they could show up and be lucky. This is what I'm the least confident about. I have no other evidence as to why this could happen, but who knows? Maybe they'll be hot. I also saw that they're a very efficient 3-point shooting team. So I love the 3-ball, love teams that are hot.
Davis, what do you have for your upset specials?
First round, I'm pretty boring. Yeah, looking at my bracket overall, I got some definitely down the road. I got Bama going out round one against winner tonight's game.
Rutgers.
Mostly filling it out in honor of Pat. Just want to throw
it in
there. There's a couple teams, a couple top 2 seeds I really don't like, but just didn't really feel like I was ready to go out on a limb and say round one they're getting bounced. So that's my only upset for the first round.
All right. I mean, that's fair enough. I also was kind of looking over my bracket. I don't have a ton of major upsets in round one, but one that I'm surprised that Kyle didn't go with, but I am feeling really confident about is Virginia Tech over Texas.
Oh, I did
Uh,
have that, but
Virginia
I didn't
Tech
want to just talk,
were
of
two
a
and
million
nine
things.
in mid-January. 2-9, and they somehow went in and smoked North Carolina and Duke in back-to-back games to win the ACC tournament. And it sounds like, by all accounts, they wouldn't have made it had they not won that game against Duke. So talk about playing like balls to the wall all the way up until the end of the season. They basically needed to be perfect and walk that line, and they did. I really like Virginia Tech over Texas simply for the fact that the horns down will also make a reappearance if that does happen. I didn't really have any other major upsets. I really feel good. I just wanted to say in round two, I will kick us off there just very quickly. We don't have to go too deep into round two, but I feel very confident for some reason in Murray State over Kentucky. I like that. I know Murray State was 30-1.
Murray State is in Kentucky.
Yes, exactly. They're facing. I
John
agree.
Moran alumni.
I agree with Davis. I don't like a lot of the number one and number two seeds, especially, and we can get to some of that in the bottom right bracket. You got Auburn as a 2 seed, and like, I mean, you put your money on them not to win it. I think you'll be just fine. Nobody believes in Auburn, nor should they at this point in the season. But I like Murray State in round two. I like them to make a pretty decently deep run. I'll be honest. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. Let's go reverse order here. So Davis, I know you talked about round two. What do you got there?
I mean, you said the big one is Auburn. I mean, watching them in the last month, I don't know how anyone could be confident in them right now. I got to be going against USC too, and that's a team I got to watch a little bit this year, and I know they got a lot of athletes. So that's probably my biggest one. But I like UCLA over Baylor. I told you early on some Pac-12 bias coming over here, but watched a little bit of the Big 12 this year. Kansas is Kansas, whatever, but I don't know. Not impressed by Baylor.
I also just want to say USC apparently has 4 guys in their starting lineup, 6'9" or above. I mean, that's like playing Jason Tatum at the 2 in a starting lineup, which is
Seriously
ridiculous. Obviously different body types, but if you want to put that height into perspective, that's pretty nuts. Kyle, any later round upsets that you just want to highlight quickly?
Oh, my round of 32. I got some really funny upsets. I have South Dakota State winning 2 games. I have them beating Iowa as well, only because the logic of those are, I also want Providence to lose because I want this game to happen. So if you look at South Dakota State and Iowa, they're both their numbers, like how many points per game that they score and they let up, and some of their results they've had this year are very similar. Like they score a lot of points, so I can imagine it's going to be just like, theoretically, if these two teams play and they both play at their best, it will be like a really high scoring game and it'll be really fun. So yeah, I have South Dakota State winning that one. I also have I have Loyola Chicago upsetting Ohio State in the first round, and I also have them beating Villanova in the second round.
That's
mostly
tough.
just because Pat has had me. Pat is my go-to Villanova guy, and he does not seem very confident in this team's ability to make a deep run this year, at least from what I've gathered from him. And I know that Loyola Chicago are a team that have not let me down a ton in the past, so I like to ride with them there. I'm trying to think if I have any other ones. I do have Auburn beating Miami, only because I feel like they might kind of get their ish together, when it comes tournament time, but you never know. I also put like 10 minutes of thought into most of these. So yeah.
I put less than that. I filled out my first bracket in under 5 minutes, and that's the one that I'm kind of going off of right now. Pat, you want to respond to the Villanova take that Kyle just had?
Yeah, I mean, he knows how I feel about the Villanova team this year. They're the least talented bunch they've had since pre-2016 at least. Not a whole lot of top-tier NBA talent. The Jalen Brunsons of the world are not on this team. I will say beware of Colin Gillespie. Fifth-year senior point guards usually tend to drag a team a little bit further than they deserve to be in terms of talent. So I don't personally have them losing in the second round to Loyola just for that reason alone, but they are not a title contender in my eyes.
I would also like to throw in for people, I want to see Michigan State and Duke and Mike Krzyzewski. Him losing on his last home game was, I think we can all agree, hysterical, incredibly funny, hilarious.
Awesome. Love to see it.
Nothing was funnier than him having to silence the crowd as he apologized for his team's performance after that game. But yeah, I want Tom Izzo, who if you want a coach to roll with in March, he's probably one of them. He's good for an upset or two. This team has been incredibly frustrating. I've seen more of them than I would like to admit. So I getting past Davidson is going to be a challenge in and of itself. Ironically, I think I feel better against Duke for them than I do against Davidson, which is very weird to say. But honestly, Duke hasn't been very overly impressive either this year.